So, my darling daughter and I are going to tell a story. I'm going to tell some of it, and she's going to tell some of it. So, we're going to tell a story about, um, we're going to do an older person and a younger person, right? And are we going to do it in modern times or olden times?
No, older times.
Older times? Like back before there were cars?
No, when the old-fashioned cars.
The old-fashioned cars?
Yeah.
Okay. So, like when Grandpa was a little boy?
Yeah.
Yeah? So, there was this old man and old woman, and they lived out in the country. And they had a barn at their house, and they had a pump house, and they had an outhouse because they didn't have any toilet inside the house. And they used to bury their trash out in the field. They dig a deep hole and they bury their trash out there. And they had a garage, and in that garage was a really old car that they didn't drive very much. And one day, a little girl came to visit her grandma and grandpa, and she wondered what was in that garage. That's your turn.
And the little girl wanted to see the car, wanted to see what was in the garage so much, and she really wanted to, but she didn't want to ask because they were at the table and they had to eat first, and they couldn't and the children couldn't talk while they were eating, so she ate everything, and then when no one was looking, she went out and she looked in the window. Your turn.
She went out and she looked in the window, and you would never believe what she saw. Because inside the car was something that she never expected to see in the car. Do you remember what it was? Do you remember? Well, first of all, the car didn't get driven very much because the people who lived there were very poor. So they didn't drive their car very much. They walked most places. And the car didn't run very well because it was really old. And so sometimes when they go to start it, it wouldn't start. And so when she looked in the window of the garage, she had never seen that car before. It was black, and it was dirty and dusty, and there were spider webs on the mirrors. But there's something else she saw in that car that she didn't expect to see.
There were holes in the windows, and inside the car she saw another raccoon and her 4 babies. And was that what you were going to say?
That's great.
Was that what you were going to say?
No, that's perfect.
There's a mother raccoon and her 4 little babies. But the little girl didn't know how they could stay alive in there without any food. But then she went around to the other side of the garage, and then she saw a hole in one of the windows.
Is that how they got in and out of the car? Well, how did they get in and out of the garage?
No, a hole in the window of the garage.
Oh, there was a hole in the window of the garage?
Mm-hmm.
But you know what was next to the window in the garage?
What?
There was a big bag of dog food. And those raccoons have been eating that dog food because they love dog food. And they kept eating that dog food and eating that dog food. And those raccoons were just happy. They had a seat. They had a seat that they could cuddle up on. And that mommy raccoon had been tearing up the seat to make it all fluffy. So it was all torn up and nobody knew it. And that little girl was so excited to see the raccoons that she ran into the house. And what did she say in the house?
She said, Grandpa, there is another raccoon in your car with 4 baby ones. They have a nice seat to cuddle up on, and the mother has dug into the seat so it's all fluffy, and they've eaten some of the dog food.
And the grandpa overheard that, and he jumped up out of his seat, and he looked at the little girl, and he said, "What? Are you kidding?" And the little girl said,
No.
"Oh, she was not kidding." And that grandpa, he ran out to the garage, and he flung open the door, and those raccoons went scattering everywhere. And he started chasing them around with a broom. He grabbed a broom, and he started chasing those raccoons around. And he was yelling at them. He said, "Out! Out, you silly raccoons! Out of my garage! Get out of my car!" And what did the little girl do while all this was happening? Was she giggling? Did she think her grandpa was pretty silly?
Yeah.
Yeah. And did she help him chase the raccoons? No. Did she just stand there and giggle? Yeah. And what did the grandpa say when he looked in and saw the seat all tore up? What did he say? Was he mad?
He said, "What on tarnation? There's a hole in my seat!"
He was pretty ticked, wasn't he? He was ticked off. And so he turned to the little girl and he said, "Thank you for finding those raccoons in my garage. I'm going to have to fix the hole in the window so they can't get back in here." And that was the end of the story. The end.